Hello, this is me, Josh Hunter. I'm on the planet Earth. What I have. This is a speculative video. I am speculating. Certain things are presenting themselves to me, but not necessarily with the force of reality. So, in order to work this out, um, as you know, when you're in school, you have to kind of take notes, and you have to kind of whenever you're doing any kind of considerable mathematical computing, you must show your work. So there's something that is presenting itself to me, and when I say presenting myself, there is I sometimes I try to understand things as accurately as I can. I have In order to do that, you have to discern whether or not you're just seeing something that you want to see, or whether you're just seeing something in your own mind, or whether or not a thing is actually real and true. So how do you know if you are, and when I say seeing, I mean understanding, comprehending. Comprehension is what I'm talking about. So right now, this may make sense. I want to, as far as I know, I am not presently in a position of very great responsibility. I do not feel as though I owe anything to anyone. I do not feel as though anyone is depending upon me for guidance, or that I am responsible for anything other than my own, I guess, personal well-being. And with regards to personal well-being, that does include, just whatever life that I have to live here on the earth. I do not feel as though people are taking cues from me. I do not feel as though it is my job to take people to where they ought to be. Right now, because of the complete lack of cooperation that I've received previous to this present time, I do not believe that there's any reason for me to be overly concerned about making sure that other people make the right choices. It is not my responsibility to solve other people's problems. For more than, I guess, let's say a decade, I've been trying to tell certain people, or as many people as I believe, that it was probably a good idea to just start thinking a little bit more. I'll admit I have not always been the best communicator. I've not always been a person who communicated very well, or at least I did not. I have attempted to make sure that my motivations were as ethically and morally stable as I possibly could. But at this point, I do not feel any responsibility for anything that has happened. What life has presented to me is that I have done my best, and I don't believe that any of the more serious failings in this world are my responsibility. I don't believe that any of the bad or unpleasant things are my fault, even a little bit. I believe the word is blameless. I consider myself a blameless person. This is not because I don't believe that I do not make mistakes, but because I have taken as many points of view, as many feelings, as many perspectives into consideration, I do not believe it's even possible for me to have been responsible for any severe suffering in this world. So, or any other, for that matter. So I want to say here that I do not believe that anyone should be coming to me for, not that anybody has, but I'm just saying there's something that I think there might be a kind of confusion that's going on, mistaken identity. I'm not sure if my words make a lot of sense. They make sense to me, but sometimes a feeling can dominate your vision. And if you are just, listening to your feelings all the time, guess what? Do you know where your feelings come from? You may know your genetics, you may know the history of your family, and various other things, but do you know where your feelings come from? Do you know why you feel the way that you do? Some people, they like the mystery of love. They like the idea of just not being able to see something, and I'm not saying that you should want to see a nude or naked reality. Nobody wants to see how a hamburger is made. But sometimes you do not want to see something that gives. You don't want to see the reality or the truth of something that has heretofore given you comfort. And so, like I've stated before, I do not have the luxury of ignoring certain things, but I want it to be stated here as clearly as possible that I have done my best. Let me say it once more. I have done my best. I've done my best. I've done my best. And I don't, because I don't know. I'm just like, there's a lot of things that are happening. Like, let me give you an example, okay? What'll happen is someone will come along and they'll spend hours talking to me, and then I'll watch TV or something on the news, and I'll notice something very particular, and I'm wondering, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's possible that people are being born and they don't have brains, because I keep on saying use your brain, but how do you know if someone has a brain? How do you know? I mean, not everyone is getting x-rayed all the time. You could literally be talking to people and they were born and they don't have any brains. How do you know? How do you know that there isn't some type of a biological anomaly that causes certain people to be born without brains, but they never go to doctors? So how would you know? How would you know? So I'm saying that, for those of you who do have brains, I would encourage you to use them as often as is needed. I am pulling out. Okay? If this is how things are playing out, then I am investing solely in myself and no one else, and I am going to be concerned with my own personal comfort and whatever it requires to maintain that personal comfort. You may notice that I've said a lot of these things before, but so what? I'm saying it again because this is my channel and it's for me. I need notes, because normally you have friends and people take pictures and all these things, and you see the pictures and it reminds you. There's nothing to remind me. I need a sense of familiarity, and I'm not seeing anything around here that makes me feel familiar. So I think you should find I don't know, maybe learn how to build your own compass, I guess, your own something that tells you what is right and what is wrong. That's the first thing they ask you when they want to. They're trying to determine if a person is sane. Can this person tell the difference between right and wrong? And so you have to define, what does it mean to be right? What does it mean to be wrong? Okay, I think we all generally accept that certain types of violence is wrong. Okay, and I don't know. I don't know what to. I don't know. But you guys need to start listening to something that's true and real. Like I said, I am involved in very, very many different things. Okay, a great portion of the world believes in things that are ultimately not to their benefit, and so you have to just ask the question: are all these beliefs right? And is there such an angle by which all things are considered right? And then you have to consider: all right, are these other angles wrong? And how do you do that? You must have to prove it through real experience. So I went through, I've studied, like I said, various spiritual things, and I have determined, I just go from book to book, modality to modality, and find out, is this right? Is this true? Is it consistent? And, right now, I went through a lot of things to prove them right to me anyway. And so right now, like I said, I'm working on trying to prove whether or not reincarnation is a real thing. Because if it is, there are certain consequences that can be, that need to be taken care of. A lot of people say they believe in reincarnation, but they don't act like it. They don't act in accordance with what it means. If you believe in reincarnation, then technically that means you believe that you'll live forever. You believe that you're an immortal person. But if reincarnation is not real, then you've only got one shot. And this is it. You better lose yourself. So yeah, things that I do are designed to tell me specifically, whether or not reincarnation is a real thing. And so I may say things that are unusual, but it's only meant to illumine the darkened aspects of this belief, and see if I can understand it, and see if I should understand it. Like I said, there are questions sometimes you need to know, is this something that I need to understand? Should I do this? Can I do this? We do often say, oh, I know I do this because I can. Well, I think the first question is, should I? So, That's a pretty good speech there, wasn't it? I liked it. I didn't write that down. I just... Ah, boy. Alright. What should I do? I got a couple more minutes. Let's see. What could I fill the rest of this time with? One of my favorite stand-up specials is with Zach Galifianakis, live at the Purple Onion. I could watch that special just about any time. I think, because I don't know. I've seen people like when they're doing stand-up comedy and they drink on stage and all that. But I never feel as though they're like really drinking. I don't feel like they're. I mean, I know it's a performance and people paid, but I never got the sense that they were they drink to the point where it's where they know that it's for them and it's not for the audience. And I remember there's this scene. He's lightly playing the piano throughout the entire performance, and I thought it's classy, it's classy. And there's this one, he's playing it, and he goes quiet for a second, and then he just suddenly says Bukowski was right. And I try not to know certain things, so I don't know who I don't know who Bukowski is. I don't know, I like the sound of it. I like the sound of someone who knows what he's talking about. And so I feel like I want to preserve the feeling of not knowing anything about Bukowski, just trying to, understand the feeling of because who is Bukowski? What was he right about? That's what I like. I think it's neat. So yeah, it's a good special. You should watch it. All right, and I'm not gonna say that you should, because what would I know? I mean, I like it. It's been a while since I watched it. I don't have Netflix. Maybe they'll put it up for free on YouTube. Alright. I wonder... let me see if I can say something special. Let everything be done as it ought to be done.